Fire safety in blocks of flats. This one-day course will look at the issue of fire safety in blocks of flats and the specific issues that these occupancies raise. Now, the aim of the course is to give guidance on adequate fire safety in purpose-built blocks of flats regardless of age. The course applies to flats, maisonettes, houses of multiple occupation and sheltered housing, and it's also applicable to situations where flats are located above shops. It will give practical advice on how to assess the risk from fire and how to manage fire safety in blocks of flats. We discuss common issues found in blocks of flats with suggested fire safety solutions. The course aims to enable the fire risk assessor to understand the legislative requirements relating to blocks of flats and to be able to apply them in a consistent and reasonable manner. Firstly, we discussed the case study Lacanal House. We look at what went wrong and what we can learn from this situation. Then we discuss the background to blocks of flats and how they have developed over the years. The various active systems available for use in blocks of flats is covered, namely sprinklers and mist systems. The principles of their operation is outlined, as is the benefits they can actually offer you. We then look at why blocks of flats pose such a serious risk and how they differ from other premises. We then look at the legislation affecting blocks of flats, in particular the overlap of legislation between the Housing Act and the Regulatory Form Fire Safety Order. The protocol that exists between the local authority and the fire service is also discussed. The 4 types of fire risk assessment which are suitable for blocks of flats is covered in detail. Then we look at who should carry out a fire risk assessment in a block of flats and how the responsible person can ensure their competence. The prevention of fire is a key area, as is housekeeping and looking at both zero tolerance and managed policies. We then look at the various ignition sources present in blocks of flats and how they can actually be managed. The conflict between an adequate means of escape and the security issue is discussed, as is the topic of various alternative escape routes. We then discuss the issue of evacuation strategies for various occupancies and when a stay put policy may and may not be suitable. Fire protection is then discussed and how you can ensure an adequate level of protection is available in the occupancy under inspection. We look at things like your fire doors, your fire alarms, signage, emergency lighting, the discussion about fire extinguishers. Should you or should you not provide them, and where are they appropriate to put them? Where should you put them and where shouldn't you put them? The importance of compartmentation is covered and examples of the various breaches is discussed. In other words, where you're going to find breaches that you should be looking for. Finally, we look at some case studies where deficiencies in the levels of fire safety can be justified by applying a risk-based approach. Now, attendance on this course will be a major benefit to those in the industry and is aimed at all those involved with any aspect of fire safety in blocks of flats. We're talking about consultants and contractors carrying out fire risk assessment. We've got social housing providers, private sector landlords, right to manage companies, building surveyors, resident management groups, managing agents or facility managers. You've got advice agents, fire service officers, local housing enforcement officers,